morning, children. I wish you all a very happy new year. So today we are going to start the chapter solutions. In this third term, we have to cover three portions, that is solutions, then fiber and plastic, and water. Now I think you all know what are solutions, isn't it? You have seen, we have prepared in your home sugar solution, salt solution, etc. But we are going to discuss some new concepts other than solutions. Now, we all have studied in our smaller classes, we all know that water solutions is something liquid in form, isn't it? But as you open your textbook, first page of your chapter, you can find different types of solutions. The first one is brass. Brass, as you all know, that it is a solid, isn't it? We are adding two solid substances to make a solution of brass. It is also a solution because we are adding two different substances. Then obviously our salt solution and sugar solution. Salt in water or sugar in water. Then you all know about soda water, isn't it? What is soda water made of? Carbon dioxide dissolved in water. Is carbon dioxide a liquid or a solid? No. Carbon dioxide is a gas, isn't it? So carbon dioxide mixed in water will give you another gaseous solution. So now we have studied about different types of solutions or different category. Now you can say that solutions can never be liquid only. It can be solid type, it can be gaseous also. Now what does a solution contain? What makes a solution? A solution consists of two main things, that is a solute and a solvent. Now if you are making a salt solution, you will be adding 2 spoons of salt or 2 spoons of sugar in a glass of water or in a beaker of water, isn't it? So we are adding salt or sugar into water to make a sugar solution or a salt solution. So there are two components. The first component is the solute and the second component is the solvent. The component or the substance which is present in the lesser amount is known as solute, and the substance which is present in a larger amount is known as a solvent. So a solute and a solvent makes up a solution. So consider salt solution. Which substance is present in smaller amount? Yes, salt is present in small amount and water is present in a larger amount. So here salt is the solute and water is the solvent. Okay, so substance which is present in lesser amount is called a solute and the substance which is present in larger amount is known as the solvent. Solute and solvent together make up the solution. Okay, now we are going to discuss about different types of solution. We will see what are they.
The concentration of solution is the amount of a solute that is dissolved in a solvent. It can form dilute solution and concentrated solution. Let us first discuss the dilute solution. Dilute solution has a small amount of dissolved solute in comparison to the amount of solvent. The color of dilute solution is lighter compared to the color of concentrated solution. Let us look closely at the particles of dilute solution. The components, which are represented by the orange circle, are the particles of solute or sugar that are dissolved in water. There is a small amount of solute or sugar in comparison to the amount of solvent or water. In short, it has less solute or sugar and more solvent or water. How dilute solution can be prepared? There are two ways of preparing a dilute solution. Number 1, by adding solvent and keeping the amount of solute the same. For example, you have a solution of water and sugar. By adding more water and keeping the amount of sugar the same, you are making a dilute solution. It has more water and less sugar. Its color is light yellow. The second way of preparing a dilute solution is by reducing the amount of solute and keeping the amount of solvent the same. For example, the actual volume of water is 230 milliliter, and the actual amount of sugar is 1 full of this small glass. If you want to make a dilute solution, you will reduce the amount of sugar and keep the amount of water the same. Instead of having more sugar, it has now less sugar because it has been reduced. It has less sugar and more water. Its color is light yellow. So again, the two ways of preparing dilute solution are by adding more solvent or water, and by reducing the solute or sugar. Now, let us proceed to concentrated solution. Concentrated solution has a large amount of dissolved solute for a certain volume of solvent. The color of concentrated solution is darker compared to the color of dilute solution. Looking closely at the particles of concentrated solution, the components which are represented by the orange circle are the particles of solute or sugar that are dissolved in water. There is large amount of solute or sugar dissolved in a certain volume of solvent. It has more solute or sugar for a solvent or water. How concentrated solution can be prepared? Like dilute solution, there are two ways of preparing concentrated solution. Number 1, by adding more solute and keeping the amount of solvent the same. For example, the actual volume of water is 200 milliliter, and the actual amount of sugar is 1/8 of this small glass. If you want to make a concentrated solution, you will add more amount of sugar and keep the amount of water the same. Instead of having less sugar, it has now more sugar because it has been added. It has more sugar for water. Its color is dark brown. The second way of preparing the concentrated solution is by reducing the amount of solvent and keeping the amount of solute the same. For example, the actual volume of water is 200 milliliter, and the actual amount of sugar is 1 full of this small glass. If you want to make a concentrated solution, you will reduce the amount of water. Let us
Now, we are going to study about concentration of the solution. Now, take two tumblers, okay, similar glasses, take equal amount of water. In one beaker, this thing that you are adding only 1 or 2 crystals of potassium permanganate. In another beaker, you are adding 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 crystals of potassium permanganate. Now you can easily find out how the color is changing. The one tumbler in which you have added 1 or 2 crystals of potassium permanganate is having a lighter color, whereas the tumbler in which there is we have added 5 or 6 crystals of potassium permanganate has a deeper color, isn't it? So what is the factor that has changed the color? Yes, concentration. Concentration means how much amount of solute is being dissolved in a fixed amount of solvent. Okay, you have taken 2 equal tumblers, you have taken equal quantity of water, but only the solute has been changed. The concentration of the solute has been changed. In one tumbler you are adding only 1 or 2 crystals of potassium permanganate. In the other crystal you are added only 5 or 6 crystals of potassium permanganate. So the color in the tumbler which has only 1 or 2 crystals of potassium permanganate is having only a lesser color. It is a dilute solution. Color is less. Whereas in other it has a deeper color. Okay. So the one tumbler in which the amount of solute is less is called the dilute solution, and the one in which the amount of solute is more, it is known as the concentrated solution. So concentration depends upon the amount of solute that can be dissolved in a fixed amount of solvent. Okay, concentration can be defined as the amount of solute that can be dissolved in a fixed amount of solvent. ഒരേ ടംബ്ലറിൽ ഒരേ ഈക്വൽ എമൗണ്ട് ഓഫ് വെള്ളം എടുത്തിട്ട് അതിൽ ഒന്നോ രണ്ടോ ക്രിസ്റ്റൽസ് പൊട്ടാഷ്യം പെർമാംഗനേറ്റും മറ്റതിൽ കുറച്ച് കൂടുതലും ആഡ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഏതിലാണോ കുറവ് ആഡ് ചെയ്തത് അതിന് കളർ വളരെ കുറവായിരിക്കും, മറ്റതിലെ കളർ കൂടുതലായിരിക്കും അല്ലേ. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു ഫിക്സഡ് എമൗണ്ട് ഓഫ് സോൾവെന്റിൽ എത്ര എമൗണ്ട് ഓഫ് സൊല്യൂട്ട് ആണോ നമുക്ക് ആഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നത് അതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ അതിൻ്റെ കോൺസെൻട്രേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, അതാണ് കോൺസെൻട്രേഷൻ ഓഫ് ദി സൊല്യൂഷൻ. Now we are going to study about two different types of solution, that is saturated solution and unsaturated solution. What is saturated solution? Here also we are doing an experiment. We are taking two beakers, a 50 ml beaker, two beakers. In one beaker, in both of them we are taking water. In one beaker you are adding salt. Okay, you are adding salt, dissolving it. Again adding salt, you are dissolving it. You are continuing adding salt again and again till no more salt can be dissolved in it. That level is known as, or that solution is known as saturated solution. So in that solution you cannot add any more salt. That solution cannot dissolve salt anymore. It has reached its limit. It has reached its maximum level. That is known as saturated solution. And the stage before it, that is, if you are adding more salt you can dissolve it, and that stage is known as unsaturated solution. In unsaturated solution more amount of solute can be added and it can be dissolved. But in saturated solution no more solute can be dissolved in it. It has reached its maximum level. That is known as saturated solution. Okay, so we have studied about what is a solution, what is concentration of solution, what is dilute solution and concentrated solution, what is saturated and unsaturated solution. Okay, so that's all for this week. Thank you.
Solutions like sugar in water has two components. The two components of solutions are solute and solvent. Solute is a substance that dissolves in solution. It is usually present in small amounts. In this mixture, the solute is sugar because sugar dissolves in solution and is usually present in small amounts. Now, let's talk about the solvent. Solvent is a substance that dissolves a solute. It is usually present in greater amount. The solvent in this solution is water because water dissolves sugar and is usually present in greater amounts. Between solute and solvent, we will focus on the solute. The ability of solute to dissolve in solvent is what we call solubility. Solubility is a maximum amount of solute that can dissolve in a given amount of solvent at a certain temperature. The amount of dissolved solute produces three types of solutions. Here's an experiment about the three types of solutions based on the amount of dissolved solute in solvent. Unsaturated solution is a solution that contains less solute than the maximum amount the solvent can dissolve at a given temperature. Its color is lighter than saturated and supersaturated solutions. Saturated solutions is a solution that contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved by a given amount of solvent. The color of saturated solution is intermediate between unsaturated and supersaturated solutions. Supersaturated solution is a solution that contains more solute than the maximum amount the solvent can dissolve at a given temperature. Its color is darker than unsaturated and saturated solutions. It has an excess solute or sugar which can no longer dissolve. Let us sum up. The three types of solutions are unsaturated, saturated, and supersaturated solutions. Unsaturated solution is a solution that contains less solute than the maximum amount the solvent can dissolve at a given temperature. Saturated solutions is a solution that contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved by a given amount of solvent. Supersaturated solution is a solution that contains more solute than the maximum amount the solvent can dissolve at a given temperature. The color of unsaturated solution is lighter than saturated and supersaturated solutions. The color of saturated solution, on the other hand, is intermediate between unsaturated and supersaturated solutions, while the color of supersaturated solution is darker than unsaturated and saturated solutions. Supersaturated solution has an excess solid which can no longer dissolve.
Have you seen crystals of salts? Crystals are made through a process of crystallization. Let us try to make salt crystals from a solution of salt. For this we need thread, a saturated solution of copper sulfate and copper sulfate. First we will make a supersaturated solution of copper sulfate. Light the spirit lamp, place the copper sulfate solution on the burner, heat the mixture. Now keep on adding copper sulfate till no more salt is dissolved. Fasten a thread on a support and suspend it in an empty glass. This thread will act as a nucleation center in the container. Now remove the solution from the burner. Pour the solution in the glass. Leave the glass aside for a few days. We see salt crystals formed on the string. This happens because the solubility of salt in water increases with temperature of solution, so more salt gets accommodated in the solution than it would have if water was at room temperature. This solution is called a supersaturated solution. The salt from this supersaturated solution gets precipitated out when the solution returns to room temperature. The salt molecules that get precipitated out start forming crystals at the nucleation center, which is the thread in this case. Crystallization is the process of formation of solid crystals of a substance by precipitating it out from a saturated solution. Why don't you try making sugar crystals at home?